Hi guys, this requested tutorial shows how to make a fading animated GIF using the free image editing software GIMP. If you don't have GIMP, you can get it at gimp.org. Let's get started. First, find some images that you want to use to fade into each other. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to use 3. Click the File menu, then Open as Layers. This is important. Choose multiple images by holding down the Control button as you select them. Click Open. Each image will open in its own layer. Since my images aren't the same size, I'm going to scale them to the same dimensions. This will make the animation work better. To do this, I'll highlight one of the image layers, right-click, then choose Scale Layer. Because this image is too large for the animation to work well, I'm going to make its dimensions 500 by 500 pixels. Click Scale. Next, I'll rescale the other images by highlighting each layer, right-clicking, choosing Scale Layer, and changing the dimensions to 500 by 500 pixels. I'll need to fit the canvas to the new dimensions. To do this, click on the Image drop-down and choose Fit Canvas to Layers. I'll zoom in so I can see what I'm working on better. I'm using a trackpad to zoom, but it can also be done by clicking on the drop-down in the lower left of the screen and choosing a zoom percentage. Now I need to duplicate each image. I want a total of 7 copies. I'll need this many copies to create the fading effect so that each image will gradually fade into the next. You can experiment and create as many copies as you like. Right-click a layer, then select Duplicate Layer. I'll repeat this step 6 times for this layer, so I'll have a total of 7 copies of this image. Then do the same for each of the other images. I'm going to rename each layer to minimize confusion later on. You can skip this step if you like, or choose any other name you wish for your layers. When renaming layers, left-click twice on a layer until the text is highlighted, then type in the new name. Be sure to hit Enter to save the name. Now the fun part. This step is very important. Toggle the visibility switch, the eye icon, off for all layers except 1 copy of the first image and 1 copy of the second image. I'll use the first copy of each image to make it easier. I'll drag the first visible layer to sit on top of the second visible layer. Then adjust the opacity of the top layer to 75% using the opacity slider. You can experiment with this. These 2 layers will need to be merged. Do this by right-clicking on one of the layers, then select Merge Visible Layers. Make sure to make this new layer invisible by clicking on the eye icon. Now, make visible another copy of the first image and another copy of the second image. Drag the first visible image layer down on top of the second visible image layer. I'll select the top layer and adjust the opacity to 50% this time. Then merge the layers to create a new layer. I'll make the new layer invisible. Then I'll repeat the steps one more time. I'll select and make visible another copy of the first image and make visible another copy of the second image. Drag the first image layer on top of the second. This time, I'll change the opacity of the top layer to 25%. Then merge the two visible layers. I can check to see the fade effect by toggling the layer visibility on and off. For each of the images, I want to make sure to leave at least one layer unfaded at 100% opacity. So I'll leave one of each image layer completely alone. Make sure to create enough copies to do this. I want the second image to fade into the third. I've skipped over one copy of the second image, leaving it untouched, and will make it invisible. I'll make the next copy of the second image visible, as well as one copy of the third image. Then, drag the topmost image down on top of the other. I'll adjust the opacity of the top image to 75%. Then merge these two layers. Make the new layer invisible. Then take another copy of the second image and a copy of the third image, then make them visible. Drag the top image down on top of the second. Change the opacity of the top layer to 50%. Merge the layers and make the new layer invisible. I'll do this again with the next images, changing the top layer now to 25% opacity, merge and make them invisible. Moving on to the next copy of the third image. I want to fade the third image into the very first image. So I'll drag copies of the first image down underneath copies of the third image, repeating all of the steps, such as making only the layers I'm working on visible, changing opacity of the topmost layer, merging the layers, etc., as I did with the previous layers. I want to be sure to leave one copy of the first image untouched, as I did with all the other images. When finished adjusting the layers, be sure to toggle the visibility of each layer on, so that the eye icon is showing for each layer. This is a very important step for the animation to work correctly. Now let's get ready to animate. Go to the Filter menu, select Animation, then Optimize for GIF. This will make the GIF work better and give you the option to set the amount of time each layer will appear. I'll leave each layer at the default time of 100 milliseconds to show you how it looks. To test it, I'll go to the Filters menu, then Animation, then Playback. Since I want each image to appear for a bit longer, I'll adjust the time by double left clicking on a layer to highlight the text. Change the number of milliseconds, then hit Enter. You can experiment with this number as you like. In this case, I want the 100% opaque copy of each image to appear for 1000 milliseconds and the faded copies to appear for 500 milliseconds. Let's test it. That looks pretty good. Now, I need to export the layers as an animated GIF. Go to the File menu, then choose Export to. Name the GIF and choose a folder to put it in. Go down to the Select File Type. Scroll down to GIF image and select it. Click Export. On the next screen, be sure to tick the As Animation box. Make any other adjustments you like, then click Export. Find your file, then test it out. That should do it. The fading animated GIF is now ready to be posted on Tumblr or anywhere else animated GIFs are supported. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Feel free to comment or ask me a question. I love hearing from you guys. And thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Until next time, bye!